Hi, my name is Anthony Palermo. I'm a fourth year in TDS and also a member of Alcestis, directed by Alan Dilworth. Today, I am so happy to be joined by our incredible director for the second installment of Theatre Arundel's cast interview series. How are you doing today, Alan?
I'm doing pretty good, Annie. Thank you. Nice to be here with you.
Nice to be here with you as well. So, do you want to throw a little introduction at us?
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Alan Dilworth. I'm a theater director. Sometimes I write. I used to act. Maybe you'll direct me sometime.
Hopefully.
I would act again if you would direct me. Yeah, and I am also an artistic director of Necessary Angel Theater Company. And we have, it's a company that is an independent company that was established in 1978. Mm-hmm. And as a company, what's interesting about us is that we're a little bit more like a kind of, like a sports car in a sense, that we're very lean. Mm-hmm. And we're a small group, but the impact is high and we like to take lots of risks. And we do have a show coming up. It's called New by Pamela Malasinha. And it is going to be produced at Canadian Stage Company this spring, April 28th to May 15th. And for tickets, you can go to www.necessaryangel.com/new, N-E-W.
Well, amazing. Can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So I'd love to jump into some questions about our show, Alcestis. So, do you have any favorite moments in the play?
I do. I have so many favorite moments. One of the favorite moments I have is what we were working on at the very end of rehearsal last night. Mm. And that was just around the experience of Admetus. And this is a moment where there's been a great loss, and at the same time there seems like there's a responsibility to still carry on ways that are also going to help kind of, I don't know, the world or the kingdom move forward. You could, I don't know what your perspective is on it, but there's always something in this process working with you and the team. There's just always so much life and things changing, and so that's a favorite spot. I have so many. I think one of the things that's so exciting for me is how live everything is. We've been playing, so everyone's been so brave. And there's these moments of, like, you know, where I can see the wheels turning, and that's kind of the kind of theater I want to see. So I'm getting to see it on a regular basis, which is so exciting.
Yeah. So how has it been directing a group of soon-to-be graduates, like actors who are going to be stepping into the professional industry?
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I think what's so exciting is being able to, like, I can sense the end for all of you in terms of this part of the journey, and kind of in the second half of this year. And just kind of hearing the trickles about things you're doing. Some people are doing auditions, and there's all sorts of uncertainty and a transformation and a shift and a change that's coming, and I find that exciting. I'm excited for all of you. I think you're a very, very talented ensemble, and I'm excited for what you'll do. And I also love the academic slant to your program. And so I'm excited because I feel like I see so much hope and potential for you to get gigs, but I hope for culture in Canada, in Toronto, etc., in Mississauga. I hope that you create companies, and I hope you create your own work as well, and I think I see enormous capacity for that.
Yeah.
So exciting.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah. So what would you like to tell audience members before watching Alcestis? What can they sort of expect?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen the first night and then the second night. I mean, of course I know.
Yeah.
There's a container structure, of course, but that's what's exciting about it. But what do you think?
I think I would tell audience members more so to come in with an open heart and ready to really, like, think about things and to really just, like, have a full experience. I think the more we build the piece, and with each like rehearsal, it kind of changes, it grows, it's like ever evolving. But it also has different elements that just make you think. And it's not what you always think it's going to be. There's always something, there's so much subversion in this piece of everything. So I think that's something to just keep an eye out, to really think about it, think about how it connects with you, think about things like that. Yeah.
I like that a lot. And this idea of like subversion of subversion of genre as well going on in it, which I find really exciting, and how everyone's navigating that. And I hope that, like, I mean, I feel like if I was to answer the question, like, why would you want to work on this piece, or what's the value of this piece? And I would say that I think for me, when I'm working, one of the ways in which I often work is that I'm sometimes working on things, and I may even be ambivalent about how much I like it, or you know, love is one thing, like is another thing, and then also the kind of richness of engaging with something and going on a journey, like, and kind of unpacking it. And there's this thing I love about this piece and the work we're doing together that is about just encountering something that is very, very old. It is completely, it's impossible for it to be not outdated, not having communicating in a way that is kind of impossible for us to look at and go, really? Is that how you think that way? But there's something about that distance between us and that engagement that is interesting. And then what I've been finding is I've been watching all of a sudden moments where, as you said, things get subverted. Like, I'll have an idea, someone has an idea about the piece, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves inside of it in a way that's a very different landscape and the complexity in that. So I find that exciting, and I feel like I've learned so much working with the cast and ensemble. And I'm an old guy, but working, because there's just been so many moments where, you know, there's just been these moments of really kind of undergoing the work and seeing something turn into something shocking and exciting, something I didn't expect. The unknown all of a sudden reveals itself. So it's been amazing. I love that. I've loved that.
Yeah. I could do this forever. So what makes this production, we're kind of talking a bit about it, but what makes this production special? And kind of expanding on what we're just talking about, how does classical text, and what does classical text offer to modern audiences?
I don't know if I can entirely answer that question. I mean, I think an encounter. I mean, I feel to some degree that I feel like sometimes what we're engaging with in some way is trying to figure out who we are now, based upon wrestling with this thing that is not from now. And yet it is from now too, because we have a literal translation from Roger Beck. And that's kind of, but even that's perspective, like generationally, like Roger's of a more senior generation, you know, I'm kind of in the middle of that somewhat, and then there's, you know, more youth with the ensemble, but I feel like it's that question of like us being able to wrestle with it. And then for me, the different age, like the fact that Roger, myself, designers, it's that all of us are working together, and there are different ages, so many different experiences, but I feel like that's the great richness of the thing. Like, and I feel like everyone, I feel like it is like a thinking, a talking, a seeing space, and I love that. I'm excited for the audience, because of course they're gonna kind of complete the circle for us, you know, and I'm really confident in the team in terms of about the kind of generosity and the space that, you know, that will be shared, you know. It's a lot of exciting work and courageous moments being shared. So I'm excited for what the audience takes in.
Definitely.
Yeah. I would want to come and see the show, and I think there'll be surprises. There's some things that are unexpected, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges with directing this kind of text, and how does your kind of style lean into that?
We've talked about the sweet spot. Like, the language is quite, in a way, spare, direct. So it's not like, it's different than Shakespeare because you can play kind of like in a more primary, and then you can style like a much more, a stronger foot forward, and then you can kind of back off when you can play with those dynamics. There's a lot less of it, although kind of by finding maybe the bandwidth we've been playing with, it's much more spare, so it's not as forgiving at the beginning. But now what's happened is within that bandwidth, I think with this material, universes have opened up, and I see a huge range moment to moment of what's going on, and I find that really thrilling.
Yeah.
To think about from the beginning of the process to now. It's amazing.
Definitely. And with that kind of process, you've emphasized the idea of layering in your work and like with the show. So can you tell us a little bit about that process and what it means for you to layer, and how you kind of come at a text like this, and how that manifests?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I think that something that, what I've been really excited about is watching the ensemble, kind of this idea of like every moment is an important moment in rehearsal. So that idea that you're kind of really thinking the thoughts every time, you bring yourself, but then of course the information builds up over time. And so it's so neat because some of the attention that you brought from the beginning was attention that is the kind of attention you expect almost when you get to like running for an audience. But actually you're doing that at the beginning in ways, even with limited information, and really being present, so that by the time we get here, it feels like we have all these different opportunities that at the beginning, you plan for stuff, but then the most exciting thing is to go like, oh, wait a minute, actually, it's like, this scene's over here, let's go over there, and everyone's been so brave, but also I think all the work that you've done has enabled you to kind of make these seamless kind of jumps in growth or shifts in how we approach something, and that to me is really exciting. Like that even last night, just like there's a series of shifts that happened at times, and I was like, I love this, I love these scenes. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also something of like your process that changes from moment to moment, and like at any, you're talking about different elements coming in and how things can shift in a moment, things can come together in an hour. And that's super present, but it allows for so much opportunity.
It kind of makes me think that maybe what's, like what we've been able to find together is that, usually when you get down to the end, sometimes you have the stress of time, and it seems like it's the opposite for us in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, there's moments where that happens, and your first like run through is always like terrifying. But yeah, it's exciting. Is there anything else? What about any other things that you're experiencing that you want to share?
For me, I mean, every day is truly its own adventure. But that's kind of like the fun of going into it and not knowing where it's gonna go. And I feel like for a long time, like we're talking about thinking those thoughts, and it's definitely been, in general, a process like I've never experienced. But it's opened me up to such being so present and being so like active and ready in a scene and ready for anything, and I think that it creates really meaningful work and really fulfilling work because you feel like you're really getting to yourself, as opposed to having a specific vision that is, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, as opposed to that. It's just more finding it as you go, but it feels very personalized, and it makes it a very special process, I would say. But it feels very fulfilling, very present, and I've definitely learned so much, like unbelievably an amount that I'm so grateful for. So yeah.
And you know what? Me too.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad we both learned something.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Well, that wraps up our interview for today. Thank you so much, Alan, for speaking with us and for talking about this amazing play and all the work that you do. So, if you want to catch Alcestis, it runs from February 16th to March 4th at Theatre Arundel. Tickets are available right now through the link in this video's description and in Theatre Arundel's Instagram bio. Make sure you grab yours before they sell out, and don't miss this wonderful show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.